Afternoon and welcome to this episode of Digital Transformation Thursday. Um, Today we're going to talk about something new. It's information security, and we're very pleased to have as our guest today, uh, Kamesh Ganesan. So actually, the show or this episode with Kamesh was initially intended to be at the same time as with Dondi Mapas last week, but Dondi had so much to share, and I know Kamesh has a lot to share as well. So we decided to split the two sessions into the one session into two, and I think there's a lot to be learned. And of course, the subject matter today is how to deal with information security now in a work from home setting in what we call the new normal. And Kamesh, I think, is qualified to talk about this. He is currently the Vice President and Head of Total Quality Management at Megawide Construction Corporation. He was a graduate of Federal Institute of Technology, Malaysia, with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. He also has a Master's of Business Administration from Rutgers Institute, and he was for a while the Technical Director and Country Director for ECC International. He is a certified auditor in information security, business continuity, and risk management. He is a certified resilience specialist and a project management professional. In the years that I've been in this space and have dealt with a lot of information professionals, I have come to value Kamesh as a great trainer in information security. There are a lot of information security specialists out there who give good advice on what technology to implement. But Kamesh goes beyond technology and talks about information security as a governance matter, as something that impacts on organizations, and very practical advice, and also does compliance with ISO standards. And on that note, I'd like to welcome now Kamesh.
Hi
There you go.
everybody. Hi, magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, JJ, for that wonderful intro. No, um, every time I get invited for such talks, no, I'm always excited. No, when I see the number of participants who are enrolling themselves to get to know a lot of what's happening right now, and particularly also looking at InfoSec. Now, as rightly said by JJ, no, hindi na ako technology seller. I don't promote technologies. I don't sell a certain product line, but I always look at everything from a strategic point of view. What sometimes we call an enterprise view. InfoSec is not just about buying an antivirus software, hardening your ISP protocols, buying your firewalls, chasing your telco providers to provide security. Hindi na ganun eh. It's not just that. It's really something that you really have to take a look from an enterprise view. And today, in the next, let's say 20, 30, or 40 minutes, I'm going to give you, I won't say a deep dive, but I will give you enough substance and content for you to think and ask yourself, do I have the right stuff? Have I put in the right protocols? Alam mo yan, di ba? Most of you know this, and it's a fact that ever since last November or October, when the pandemic COVID-19 came into the environment, and today it is a full-blown disaster of some proportions, life has come to a complete standstill, or it is moving at such a slow pace that everything is being questioned. Do I have the right things in place? Do I have the right safety protocols, etc., etc.? But business continues. Business has to continue. And today I'm going to talk about how you should look at InfoSec from a governance perspective for managing, maintaining, and running your business on a day-to-day perspective. Let it be you're an entrepreneur with your own business. Let it be you're a legal advisor for a law firm. Let it be anything and everything. you need to understand the bigger picture of what you're doing. I know most of you have the luxury of working from home, but are you really cut out and designed to work from home? Because most people are not. And I have a checklist which I'm going to show you in a short while, that will question, and probably you will ask yourself questions like, oh my god, I'm not ready for work from home, I'm still an office 9 to 5 kind of person, no? So let's take a look at it. I'm going to share my screen now, and we are going to get into the mechanics. All the materials that you will see right now will be shared to you. You can always take home. I always believe in giving pasalubongs to all the people who attend my various conferences over the last 25 years. So I will not break my rule today by not sharing. I believe sharing is caring. So I'm going to give you all the materials. And if you need anything more, you can always reach out to JJ's group, and they will be kind enough to come and share it or ask me what are the things that you're looking for, and they can point you into the right direction with the stuff that I have. Okay, InfoSec governance in the new normal. I'm still trying to digest what a new normal is, right? I'm always used to normal lang bago ano ba bago yan new normal. Will we go back to the old normal, or will there be a futuristic normal? Okay. So the question I asked today is, what and how are we managing this, or how are you managing this when it comes to InfoSec? Okay. And believe me, I am just right beside you, sitting in the same chair and questioning every day with the president of Megabyte. How do we ensure that our company stays afloat and we are still able to operate when 60 to 70% of our workforce is stuck in project sites or are at home with very low to poor internet connections, and we want to force them to continue operating because we have this problem called no work, no pay. How do we ensure the livelihood of all these people? So you probably might be looking to me, and I'm looking to you and going like, wow, we are in the same boat. Okay, all right, let's go. Now, as you know, the virus has literally changed our lives. Okay, the way we look at everything is completely changed. Now, today, 90% of companies that never worked from home protocols, who never had work from home protocols because they were manufacturing, they were hardcore operation day to day. They needed people to run the lines, to manage the machines. Today, they are probably the first of the many billions who are now told to work from home. Laptops, desktops are being brought home, connected to home internet systems that was used for leisure and recreation, and today it is powering office work. Okay, and this is all happening for some of us who are not in the BPO industry. Probably for most of us, if not some of us, we are doing all of this for the first time, and I guess we are all learning as we go along. Okay, what has it made us do? Okay, what has work from home and coronavirus and all of this, what has it made us do? Okay, we are not changed, we are still the same humans. We just don't go to work anymore in the office. We do different things, no? But organizations had to rethink everything, right up to the tables and chairs. We had to break our infrastructure up. We had to look at physical, say, oh god, physical distancing, no? Okay, we started off with the word social distancing, but now WHO insists that we must call it physical distancing. It started with minimum 1 meter, now it's 2 meters. I don't know, maybe in another couple of months it might be 3, 4, 5 meters, Physical distancing, social distancing has forced us now to remove chairs and say six people can't sit in a cubicle. It has to be two only. But all of this has been tethered or locked down to public infrastructure and the protocols that run the internet, because most of us who are not allowed to come back home, who are not allowed to come into the office, are forced to work from home. Okay, so organizations had to re-strategize everything, including my company, including the company I work for. We had to re-strategize everything. We had to now rent temporary office space in hotels, in big commercial buildings. We had to put people on hot bunking. Hot bunking for us means you come in from 9 to 4, and then somebody else comes in from 4 to 10, sitting on the same chair and table. Sempre naman disinfected, we spray alcohol and we do all the safety protocols thingy just to have two different groups of people come in and do the same job at different times. Resources had to be designed mainly for recreation, that we use internet. We bought certain internets for home Wi-Fi, home use, to play games, to download movies, to watch Netflix and Korean telenovelas. Now we have to use them for work, which is where my biggest concerns are coming from. Okay, your dining rooms, your bedrooms, your playrooms, your children's rooms, everything is now being converted to become workspaces. Your mobile device that you played Mobile Legends with most of the time, where your data was burned most of the time, now you have to save the data, because if your home Wi-Fi suddenly has intermittent connections because of power fluctuations and power failures, yun na ang cellphone mo, it becomes your hotspot, or it becomes your teleworking station. And wala na Mobile Legends. You have to use it for work now. Then all of this is becoming challenging for most of us, if not all of us. But what has happened to companies? What has happened to organizations? Because of the rush to continue working, operating, creating revenue, generating money, doing everything to maintain customers who are still with us and still have to be served, business priorities are overtaking cyber security issues. We are closing an eye. We are shutting down one eye. We are saying, okay, sige muna, okay lang, vulnerability dito. Sir, it's not on a VPN. There's vulnerability. We cannot provide remote access to this remote desktop protocol. May mahirap na. May gaps may butas-butas. Okay lang nun. We'll just tell the person to be very careful. Our business priorities are taking our cybersecurity standards, or whatever protocols we had when we were all working inside the office. And just like everybody who's now told to work from home and redundancies are happening, people are being laid off, people are being told contracts are not being renewed, IT and security support staff then is also suffering. People are also being reduced in that department. The bare minimum are being kept. Okay. Cybersecurity, information security is slowly taking a backseat, which should not be in the case of some of you who are sitting in this conference or attending this talk, which should not be. We should be spending more time, more budgets, focusing on InfoSec right now, not the other way around. Technology capacity is also limiting right now. Okay. If you're going to get into work from home strategies and the company is not going to pay or sponsor your VPN connections, your ISP protocols, you're not allowed, you can't afford to put in two-factor authentications or anything like that on your internet at home, or your internet is of a very basic package and you need to upgrade to 50 Mbps, which will cost X amount of money, and the company is not going to bear the cost for that. Bahala na is going to come out of your pocket. Those are also going to be capacity limitations. And the worst one is the mental stress that each and every one of you go through every day. There are even people in my organization who come and sit in my office and talk about their fear about them being redundant in the next 6 months if the vaccine, so-called vaccine, or flattening of the curve doesn't happen. And guess what? It's already 1 week into GCQ. Everybody's talking about what's going to happen next week when the month ends. Are we going to get back into MECQ, ECQ, GCQ, or are we going to look at new abbreviations and new protocols coming out? No? So you have to take a look at those things also, Tamaba. So these are the challenges that we are having. But what's the end result? The failures of us not doing anything or accepting the status quo right now, this could be the end result. Okay, I'm just putting 4 because I think this 4 can happen, has happened, except for the last one. the doomsday, or what I say, the Armageddon attack, is something that we all look at. Some companies in the banking industry, we call it the black swan risk. Um, I just call it zero day. Zero day is a reality. It's a reality. If you saw the movie Die Hard, you would probably go like, oh, okay, it's a fire sale. Yeah, okay, something like that. Okay. The end result today, what? Remote user credential theft is already happening, my dear friends. Remote user credential theft is already happening. This one affects what? Work from home people most directly, because of your security systems are at the bare minimum. Okay. And most of you log in into your company systems to download and to work on files and etc etc. Hackers are now taking that opportunity, that the mass amount of remote connections are happening, can conceal malicious logins also, that hackers can come in with the many who are logging into the day-to-day company systems, and those are going to be very hard to be detected by your security teams. Okay, your log files have to be checked on a daily basis, and all of this is going to be a difficult exercise if your security, if your IT people are focused on day-to-day operations of managing employees who are working off their desktops, their own personal desktops, or company given laptops, or even their own laptops. Okay. And we are also seeing an increase of phishing emails with malware sunk into it. Okay, coming in into users now, personal users. I'm not sure if you are one of those people. Are you experiencing a lot of junk and spams coming in into your systems? Because right now that's really very seasonal, and it's really peak at the moment. It's attacking, and a lot of phishing emails that are coming out for all kinds of stuff. And the third one, which is really very interesting, and the one that you need to be very careful of, is the coronavirus updates that are coming from so many different websites. Some of the websites you don't even subscribe to, and these websites with coronavirus and COVID-19 in the URL are dangerous. Please make sure that when you open a URL on COVID, looking at whatever progress reports and etc that is coming from elsewhere, please be very careful on whatever you click on the links. If it is asking you to join, if it's asking you to take a survey, take a poll, upload this or tell them this or tell them that, your location, just be very careful about what you're doing, because at the back of all of this, there could be malwares which are hidden, that are just waiting to spring and get your information and data. The last one, yeah, we call it the Armageddon of all attacks, the zero-day attack. There are companies in Southeast Asia. I know for a fact there have been companies which were attacked by ransomware, and the entire enterprise system was locked out. Certain servers were locked out because of carelessness and negligence of people replying to emails and updating their passwords on bogus emails, thinking it was coming from the IT department. We have actually some cases here in the Philippines. There's also been one or two cases. I'm a Malaysian. I've been living in the Philippines for the last 21 years, and I've been very involved with many hacker societies or InfoSec societies in the country. And there have been cases. No, they are not major or big cases, but there have been attempts for companies, for zero-day attacks on companies. Okay, so some of the end results, which is not supposed to scare you. I'm not here to scare you with all of this. I'm just telling you the lack of awareness could lead to some of this, if not other stuff that could happen. And you be, and the worrying thing I have is, are you aware of your controls and protocols? Okay, let's take a trivia. Let's do a quick check. I'm going to open this to anybody who's willing to answer some of the questions on this check sheet. It's a nice check sheet. It's mahaba ya na. It's 12 pages namane. So we are not going to go through an exercise of answering each of the questions in each of the category. So it's there with you. This was shared earlier to you. If you have time, take a look at it at a later time. But take a look at this. Look at category number one. Um, the six important things you need to know when you have work from home alone. Okay, are you ready for loneliness? How can you deal with virtual interactions? How can you utilize your breaks? Will you be able to go out, do hobbies help? You might be questioning like, ano ba, sabi niya IT governance, tapo he's doing psychological checks on us. I'm just giving you a random checklist that has all the components, and browse through them, because I'm going to browse through them slowly. Okay, these six questions are about you, about how ready are you for working from home, because question number one was really interesting for me, because I am not a person who can get cooped up and work for 8 hours. I need to walk, I need to get out, I need to go to the coffee machine, or I need to go to the pantry to get a glass of water and to make chismes at the water bottle station with other colleagues from other departments. At the moment, I can't because there's nobody in the house. So I can walk around to the water bottle station, and the only thing I can talk to is my dog, who does not talk much about IT stuff, So it's I'm not ready for that kind of stuff. I need office environment. I need to be able to psychologically tell myself that I need to dress up and go to office at 9 o'clock and come back home at 5. That's one category. Work from home self-assessment questions. You need to thoroughly assess this to if you fit the bill, if you yourself fit the bill of being able to work from home. So this is there's about what? How many questions here? 32 questions, Mahabayanto. There were 32 questions. So interesting. Look at question number 8. How do you plan to handle household chores while you're sitting and working from home? Because the last thing you need is when you're doing a virtual meeting on Zoom and you got your katulong or your kasambahay at the back washing plates and knocking all the plates over the sink. That's not going to be very motivating, Or if you're going to be in your room and you're conducting your meeting and in walks in your 7-year-old son because he can't download his game because the internet is matagal that. Okay, so how do you deal with those kind of things, right? So there are 32 questions here. Interesting questions. There is no yes or there's no right or wrong answer here. This is just a self check on how ready you are to be able to do work from home. How would you react to delays? Look at question number 15. In case of delayed payments, you will need to check with HR about processing. How are you connected to your day-to-day operations with HR? How do you file your every 15 and every 5th? Well, our salaries are on the 15th and 5th. 20th and 5th. How do you ensure that your salaries are in on the 15th and on the 1st? And how do you respond to HR? How can you reach them on a timely basis? Does HR have a portal where you can log in through their HRIS systems to query your concerns? Do you respond to mails promptly? Do you have a habit where you check mails first thing in the morning when you're about to start work at 9? You check for the next first 30 minutes your mails, and then your next check is going to be just before lunch at 12, and your third check will probably be at 3 o'clock before your break, and then the last check will be probably at 5 before you break off for the day. But I'm very sure most of you here agree with me. Work from home has now totally changed our working lifestyle. I'm very sure some of you start as early as 8 o'clock and finish as late as probably even 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And you still take emails, you still respond to text messages if they are work related. There's no such thing as cutting off. There's no such thing as I'm home now, I'm at 5, I'm putting my bag aside, I'm switching off my phone, and I'm not going to be taking any work related calls until next morning at 7 or 8. I think that lifestyle is gone. If some of you had actually lived that lifestyle, I think those lifestyles are gone, right? So there are about 32 questions here that you can bring back. But one thing, these questions are not just for you, okay? Please share them to all your friends. Share them to all your friends who are stuck in work from home, okay? If they didn't attend the conference today, libre lang this form. This check sheet is libre, okay? I'm not going to say this form is only for you. You should not share it to anybody. Libre naman. You can share it to anyone, okay? You can share it to anyone. Oh, interesting. That's already a question here. Will IT auditors, IS auditors require tools, InfoSec or security audit applications for an effective audit assessment of information security governance? Yes, sir, or ma'am. You must have a software. You can't do manual auditing anymore. You can't ask questions over the virtual stations or virtual environment, and you expect somebody to show you a document on Zoom, or they show you a protocol on how the server was hardened using what coding. That's not going to work. You need a audit system. You need an IT audit assessment tool, and there are several in the market, by the way. I'm not going to brand names in this open forum, but if you feel free to talk to me on any other time, you can reach me on my email, or you can go through JJ. We do have companies that I work with. One is Network Intelligence. Network Intelligence comes out of the US, and we work with them a lot here in the Philippines. And they do have audit assessment tools for IT security, penetration testing, or even vulnerability scanning. Okay, all right, let's go on. We got 14 questions on how to prepare for a work from home job. Okay, how do you set up for your remote work? What equipment would be needed to begin? You have to talk to your IT people. For all of you who are working from home right now, if you're working for a company and you are now put on work from home, and I noticed some of you actually replied in the intro that some of you are from companies and you work from home right now. There was somebody from Santa Maria Bulacan who said she was working for, I know it was a she, and I think she was working for a bank or something, and she's now on work from home from Santa Maria Bulacan. I hope you have actually checked with your IT department and got a list or a check sheet of the most minimal things, the most minimal lang, no? I'm not talking about high-end stuff, minimal lang. How should your home Wi-Fi be configured? How should your home Wi-Fi be configured? And how should your laptop or desktop configured? Kasi bawal yan for you to download stuff because you're at home now. Okay, company laptops, bawal yan Netflix, bawal any kind of third-party systems. Only company-approved applications should be operating on it. For example, the laptop that I'm using right now, this Dell laptop was issued by the company. Everything is locked out. The USB disabled. The hard disk is locked out. The hard disk is monitored. I can't even go to Lazada. I can't even go to Zalora. I can't. Not on the company laptop. The phone pwede. But the phone is also locked out because it is not a company phone. So the phone is on a BYOD policy. If it is not company given, I can't log into our system and domain. I have to bring my BYOE. I have to bring my own personal phone. I have to put my own hotspot. It's called my BYOE. Bring your own environment protocol, and I can log in into Lazada, and I can do everything what I want on Lazada with my own personal phone. That's how strict the company is. Right now, I'm actually in the office. I wanted to do this from home. But if I do it from home, Zoom is not a virtual meeting app that we use. We only use MS. We don't even use Google Hangouts. So I had to stay in the office, and I was able to allow my IT people to provide me access to Zoom. Okay, so protocols like that you really need to know. If you are already given those protocols for all sake and matter, please ensure that you are complying to them. And if you are not, please raise a ticket so that your IT people can quickly address it for you and not be a vulnerability. Okay. So there are about, I know, 12 questions here. 13, 14 questions here, asking what type of option, what type of jobs that you do, and how do you what are the qualities that your bosses want to see in a person who's remote working. Okay. Now we can keep on going. There are 15 questions on managing yourself at home. How do you take care of your health and your mental health, and how do you deal with your children, and how do you handle distractions at home, neighbors or anybody coming in from Lazada wanting to do deliveries, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Now this is kind of interesting because it's a check sheet of many sorts. Okay, while it may look at IT or your readiness in your technology platform, this can be also used on you or on your colleagues and how you work with All right, interesting. So I've got a couple of questions coming in. Very nice. I've got there's somebody who's asking. Let's keep it as open discussion. I'm gonna answer questions as and when questions keep coming. I'm asking our IT personnel to install, allow me to use VPN in my company laptop. He ignores me, but other company laptops use VPN. Can you please give me an idea why? Bucket, he doesn't. Siguro he doesn't like you. Joke lang. Okay. If you are not getting VPN in your company laptop, now the first thing we need to figure out is, are you processing confidential information? Are you processing sensitive information? Are you having remote access to the files in your company network? Was your laptop or desktop set up for RDP protocols, remote desktop protocols? Was it set up in such a way that you have remote access to your company files sitting either in cloud, in your company systems? If yes, then you seriously need to talk to him to find out why. If you're not accessing company data, you're not accessing the company's cloud, your laptop is static, you have your stuff and you're working on that stuff and you're sending your stuff in emails, chats, okay, which by the way should not be also. Siguro they are prioritizing VPN connectivity kasi mahal yan na. VPN connectivity to those who have sensitive or privilege or confidential information processing capabilities, no? So I will not mention the name of the person who asked this question. Bahala, I think you should talk to your IT and figure out why. Now, if the person you're talking to is ignoring you, go straight to the boss. You really need to take this protocol. Now, I think JJ is jumping in to answer this question for you.
Which one? The USB password? Sorry.
The other one before, VPN access. Wala pa. She's requesting VPN access, but the IT guy is ignoring her.
I don't see any legal issue here. I think this is more of a might be an expense issue, right?
Yeah, I think because kasi VPN connectivity for remote from work from home mahal yan kasi mahirap to get a package because it's also dependent on different systems, different users kasi PADT, Converge, may Globe, iba-iba yan eh. There's configuration and all of that required eh. I think you need to talk to directly to your IT to figure out why. Kasi sometimes static na the laptop is static. That means you don't access. You're not one of those people who are required to access company information on an RDP, and you're not required to connect to the company's network or access. Siguro, maybe. I'm not sure because the question is quite generic in understanding. So please revisit and have a chat with your IT administrator. Kasi if you are holding sensitive information, the last thing you need to do is send that on open waves where there's no protection. No. Second, another question: does USB with password protection coming from IT safe to use? Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, whoever that is. Yes, it is very, very safe as long as the password is controlled and it is not shared to anybody. Okay lang yun ng USB. Okay, because that is the new age now. People are actually using a lot of password protected USB. Okay lang yun. Okay. Some companies even disable the USB port, so you can't even connect to the USB port however hard you try. Okay, so that's a good point. You should do that. You should invest on password protection USB. Okay. Well, there's another question here. Private practitioners, self-employed entrepreneurs and small business owners investing in a VPN, a good step to take at this time? Yes, ma'am. You should. What other InfoSec measures would you recommend for self-employed people and entrepreneurs? We do not have the IT institutional support accessible. Ma'am, simple lang. look at your internet protocols lang, the connectivity. You know, you could have got a basic package for movies and recreation. Ngayon lang you're doing trabaho from home, upgrade muna. You need to have better authentication, WPA or WEP. Change muna your password every 3 months. Change your login password. If it's a Wi-Fi, ano, hindi na LAN connected cable, and most of us at home Wi-Fi, diba? Change the password every now and then. And you know password protocol naman, diba? You shouldn't associate the password to your birthday, your children's name, your husband's name, family name, blah, 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 blah. That is already like, I don't even need to talk to you about those things. Let's say those are like, I think 10 years, 20 years ago, dinosaur English, no? But I tell you something, don't trust your neighbors. Especially when you have Wi-Fi, you know, change your passwords every now and then. Okay, if you can buy VPN, better, because you're doing business already from home, and your people are also going to be connected device, just not you, you know. So VPN is a good investment right now, because I can tell you, neither nobody sitting in this room knows when COVID will leave us, will ever leave us, will there be a vaccine that will work. The COVID scenario is going to be somebody from WHO, a friend of mine from WHO told me, be ready for the next 10 years coming. I said, be ready for the next 10 years for what? For COVID. I said, are you kidding me? There's Sputnik vaccine. There's a lot of vaccine coming from China. Yeah, yeah. Don't hope on that. If it works, it works. But there is a major production issue, volume, so it may not come in the right time. Be ready for a long haul. And I agree, many companies, including ours, we are getting ready for the long haul. And to tell you honestly, 60% of investors who are playing the share market right now in the Philippines are long-term investors. They are not looking at short gain profitability right now. Those who are in the game are for long-term investments on stocks. Okay, so it's going to be long-term, and you have to take a look at it like that. Okay, I hope that answered. Work from home setup, company's proprietary information becomes more at risk of data breaches. Geofencing, yeah, that's nice. I like geofencing. And other similar controls are not available. Yes, Pope, not really at the moment. What other possible security controls can be used to protect information from breach? If you're looking at organizational strategy, I think if you wait a few more slides, you will see that I have many organizations. Actually, there are 10 organization strategies that I'm talking about, which can be a replacement to geofencing and any other more expensive protocols that may not be readily available or budget friendly right now. Okay, so let's take a look at that slides coming in or not. We will not be able to finish this talk at any point of time, right? Okay. Is there any? Wala pa free VPN. Ano pa? Libre free VPN wala. Baka trial lang, 1 day, 2 days you can avail na lang, but you can't keep hoping there'll be free VPN. Not at the moment. Everything comes with a price, sir. Okay. All right. Let's move on. No? Let's move on. Okay, I need to shut down the questionnaires. Okay. So there are more questionnaires here. There are more checklists that you can take a look at. Let's not get too hung up with this, because I think I have more interesting materials coming up. And let's take a look at our materials. Okay, let's take a look at what I actually wanted to share to all of you. Part one. Okay, part one. But keep your questions coming. Please keep your questions coming, because I am not the kind of guy who actually stops to talk and answer questions. I take everything on the fly, because it's important that it comes out of my head. When I see the question, I want to snap out the answer as quickly as possible before I get into many complicated discussions. Part one, let's take a look at this. Okay, the 10 to-do lists from an organization strategy. Now, don't get too hung up with the word organization strategy, because organization strategy today means already people working from home. You know, the organization strategy today is already broken into pieces right now. It is no longer a centralized organization, but it's already a decentralized organization where the company is allowing people to come in and work from home or even work on the fly, right? Work on the fly means people can actually work from any remote site. It doesn't need to be just from the home. They can even be sitting in now today GCQ allows, Starbucks allows you to sit for 1 hour. I don't know if you know this. I just came to know about this last week when I'm actually housed in Kearney in Santolan Town Plaza in Boni Serrano in San Juan, and I was told that I can sit for 1 hour in Starbucks. I was surprised, like, wow, really? Okay, but walang Wi-Fi. You have to get your own hotspot, but you're allowed to sit there for 1 hour until he comes and the barista comes and chases you off. Okay, so let's take a look at all of this. Number one, teleworking solutions. Okay, anticipating a permanent increase in telework, anticipating that most of us will have a majority of our people on work from home. What is the first thing we need to take a look for those people who are working from home? Importante number one, sufficient on-demand bandwidth to move content, especially if you're going to do video teleconferencing between geographically challenged scenarios. Okay, I heard there's somebody from Pangasinan here. Even there's somebody from Catanduanes. I'm actually planning to ride my motorcycle. I'm a big biker, and every time I get a GCQ opportunity, I ride far. And my next trip is to Catanduanes, actually, to Iraq. Hopefully the Roro is still operating and I can go to Iraq. Okay. So if you are logging in from Catanduanes, I'm really happy that there's somebody that far, or if there's somebody even from Mindanao right now logging in. But it's going to be challenging. I can't imagine how many Mbps type of connection you have and how secure is that connection. But this is going to be the biggest thing. Bandwidth. Bandwidth is going to be big, particularly if you're downloading and moving big, heavy files. Okay. Establishing VPN capacity through the internal internet protocol security, IPsec or VPsec, is going to be very important. So you got to take a look at VPN. I think VPN is no longer a question of can I or can't I. I think you need to do it if it's going to be work-related matters. Okay. Access and identity management is something your IT has to set up. You have to set up your MAC protocols. You need to know who are the people logging in into your systems and moving files or working on files, particularly for remote workforce. Okay, for remote workforce, because without that, you are seriously putting yourself at risk. Seriously, you're putting yourself at risk. Okay, so I think you need to make sure that you have established a good VPN capacity, not just VPN lang, capacity din, depending on how big teams that are working from remote sites. Access management, syempre naman, access management comes also from with VPN. You must have to make sure that they comply within the security requirements as well as the employees' ease of use needs. Because you might provide tokens, one-time access, you might have privilege access. Please revisit your access management. Not very difficult. If you are like there was a person who was talking about, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a self-employed person. Syempre naman, if it's just you by yourself, access management is just to you, no? You should control it and make sure that you don't have other people having the same login credentials as you to check on things on behalf of you. That is already a risk for you, no? So I think that is very minimal for you. But other people who are on organizational strategy, please take a look at this. Okay. Mobile device management, as I told you, MDM is now going to be, it's actually the buzzword right now with everybody. People who don't have computers or laptops at home, or do not have laptops of the latest specs able to manage work, they're using their mobile devices. I've spoken about this in many of JJ's conferences on digital, on data privacy. I have always asked the same question to many people when they were looking at me in the audience. I just asked them, how many of you use how many of you use personal phones? And many people put up their hands. And then I asked the same people, how many of you check emails, download attachments, review files, approve stuff through Google or Outlook on those personal mobile devices? I think it was the same number of hands that still were holding up. And then I told them, you're all breaking company protocols and you're putting your phones and your company at risk. And then I had a whole bunch of 30 or 40 people after the conference asking me for help on how to manage this. You can't manage this. It's as simple as either you put in protocols from the company, like my own mobile phone given by the company is secure. When I mean secure, it is literally secure. I can only use it for company emails, interactions, etc., etc., etc. There's no Facebook on it. There's no Instagram, walang Twitter. Can't do anything. Basically, it's a. Sometimes I call it a stupid phone. I can't do anything with the phone other than take my president's calls in the middle of the night. Okay, but then I have another phone, my own personal phone, that I interact everything else. But I make sure the personal phone doesn't have the company email. I have my own personal Gmail on it, but I don't have company property or company information. I don't even log into the cloud using my personal mobile phone, because the Mac and the digital footprint of that personal phone was never registered into our system. Okay, how do we do that? Mobile device management, very simple. You can come up with your own BYOD policies. Now, if you have never heard of this or you have heard of it, but you never made one, Google me up, write me an email. I'll give you one policy for free. I have tons of policies on many stuff that I've written over the last 20 years in InfoSec. BYOD policies are very simple. It has a set of protocols on what you can do with your mobile device, whether it's personal or company given. Because the most important thing, and believe me when I say this, 70% of information security is culture, habit, and people. 30% is technology. You can challenge me on that. You can argue with me for the next 3 days and 3 nights. I have no problem. But at the end of the day, I will still win. 70% is not technology, it's behavior. 30% is technology. Learn to live with it. Okay. Closely examining your enterprise, use of internet-based remote desk protocol, RDP. If you are using a Windows desktop, there's something called RDP, remote desk protocol, okay, which allows remote access of your Windows systems and servers, and it makes an enticing target for hackers if they can detect your RDP settings. Okay, RDP is very interesting. All systems, all laptops, or sorry, all desktops, Windows set up, configured, has something called remote desktop protocol. Okay, remote desktop protocol is actually a software. It's an operating system that features that allows a personal computer, the personal computer sitting at your home, no, desktop, no, environment to be run remotely on one system while interesting, it is being displayed on a separate client device. Okay, very easy to be hacked. RDP protocols, take a look at it, Google it up. Today, like I said, I was telling JJ earlier, just before this session, this is not a technological summit. I'm not a technology nerd. I'm not somebody who's going to give you software codes on how to secure your phone, though I know them. I'm not going to share it with you today. uh, just take a look at your RDP protocols. But mind you, if you have desktops or laptops which are running on Vista, XP, okay, Valana, the protocols and the patches being issued by Microsoft today since 14 May 2019, when they found a malware called Bluekeep. I shaded it in blue also in this presentation. Bluekeep. It's also known as Deja Blue. Deja Blue. When this malware attacked Microsoft systems way back last year or the year before, they came up with patches, but the patches are not for EOL systems like XP, Vista, or Lana. You have to change to Windows 10. Some people are suspecting that Bluekeep and Deja Blue is also attacking Windows 10, but there is no evidence and record of such things, So just take a look at it. I'm not trying, like I said, no, I'm not here to scare you about IT, because most of us are non-IT people. I'm just telling you, your IT awareness has to be so increased now. Okay, you have to be so aware. Just like how you're Googling COVID every day to find out what's happening on COVID, you should also be Googling and finding out many things on IT, okay, to figure out how you are protecting your company's information, your company system, as well as your own personal laptops. Okay, external perimeter protection. Kasi ngayon lang, walang na internal perimeter, puro lahat na external eh. Everybody is working from home, or most everybody is accessing stuff from home, no? So network access control, NAC, to authenticate, validate all devices logging into the system must be done if you're an organization. Okay, if you're an organization, talk to your IT people and ask them, how are we authenticating and validating all devices that are logging in from external? What is our external perimeter? Kasi your firewall is internal. Ngayon lang, you have to remove a lot of your boundaries of your firewall to allow people, employees, to log into the system using work from home devices. Baka siguro personal laptop, personal desktop, or mobile phone, connecting through their own home Wi-Fi. So firewalls is not your security perimeter now. Huh? That is already there only to secure the internal, but most of them have been given exceptions. Okay. Bullet number 2, locking down user workstations. Very important. You locking down your user workstations. Security configuration has to be also considered. Plus administrative privileges to end users. Because your IT has been reduced, because your IT is now skeletal workforce lang, quite a lot of administration work of the IT has to be given to you. You have to manage your own desktops and laptops. But to do that, you have to be trained. You have to be told what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. Okay. Remote endpoint isolation and forensic capabilities. Every time there is a chain of custody issues, there is a leak, there is a breach, your IT should be able to do forensic capabilities to track where did the leak come from which system or which remote device. And of course, endpoint data collection and analysis need to be identified for any unauthorized activity of any files being downloaded by systems or devices which were not originally under the access management. Okay, that's external perimeter. No? Cloud services, alam mo yan, no? Cloud, everybody is on cloud now, no? Service offerings, puro lahat ng cloud. But there is a standard for cloud. Cloud actually has its own ISO standard. If you are looking for a cloud checklist, write to me. I will probably type my personal email later here. Write to me. I can give you a fantastic cloud tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 checklist. Galing, you now may realize, oh, I know. There's actually T1, T2, and T3. Each T represents different security protocols. Okay. If you are buying for uploading personal information, ng files mo, ng pictures mo, ng videos mo, ng movies mo, probably T1 protocol. T1 protocol, simple. Username, password. Yun lang. Papasok na, upload na. But then tier 2, tier 3 has different protocol settings. Okay. So I can give you a checklist. Use that checklist to audit if you are using cloud, if your company is using cloud. Okay. Of course, complete inventories of current cloud usage in the enterprise must be. So what does that mean? That means all folders, all files must be accounted for. Inventory muna, just like how you go to your rep, or how do you go to your storage, grocery storage, and you count the number of spaghetti packets you have in your refrigerator, or the number of sardine and tuna you have in your cabinet. Yun na, inventory of all of your folders and files. And if somebody is accessing those things at the end of the day, when I say end of the day, I don't mean at 5 o'clock every day you need to do this. You have to make sure if somebody did not tamper with those files. If you allow them view muna. If you allow them view and edit, then it probably must be on SharePoint or OneDrive or on MS Collaboration, no? Kasi mahirap na sa Google eh. Google doesn't have those kind of real-time updating protocols unless you buy different type of systems. Data storage policies should be there. This is for organizations. I'm not talking about entrepreneurs. Okay, so data storage policies, then you have to take a look at what are the use of the cloud service, data center storage, local storage. And please remember, at the back of your mind, think about backup. Always business continuity. The whole reason why many companies are moving into cloud is because if an employee were to lose a laptop, the hard disk, or something crashes, the data is in cloud. Okay. You can also hire companies, if you want to get cloud services, there are many companies in the Philippines who offer cloud service packages, not only Amazon.com, maybe Bayan, the Dami. There's a lot of people who offer cloud services. Okay, let's quickly take a few questions. There are about 5 questions here. Anubha, Sino, no questions. Is browsing in an incognito private window help me securing shared personal info? Yes, boss, it does. Is browsing in an incognito private window helped in securing share personal info? Puede din, yes. You can work on incognito, walang problem. Safe na muna. It's safe enough, okay? It's not the be all and all, but it works. It works, okay? Unless somebody has targeted you, mahirap, but you can do incognito work. Okay, I think my children do a lot of incognito work when I go into the room to check if they're studying, okay? So that's a joke. If you're laughing, I'm happy for you. All right, sir, please share checklist in auditing cloud service. Sempre, at the end of the day, you will get that. Don't worry. Not now. Let me finish my presentation. Thank you. All right. Collaboration tools, okay, while email, office productivity tools, video conferencing. Do you know Zoom was hacked? So everything is hackable right now, okay? Video conferencing have been vital during this pandemic, yes. Make sure whatever you use is licensed. Wag mo na libre, okay? Things that come for free always has a catch. I always tell myself there's nothing free in this world. Everything has a catch, okay? If you're using office productivity tools to monitor your people, I was just telling JJ there's a tool called Citrix, Charlie India Tango in Citrix. Charlie India Tango, what is R? Romeo India X. What is X?
X-ray.
X-ray, yeah. Citrix. Google it up. It's available in the Philippines. It's not expensive, but don't ask me how much because some people, the word not expensive may differ to different people. No, Citrix is a productivity tool. It can monitor your people's hours on in the system. What are they doing? What files are they working on, etc., etc. Because if the system is idle, that means there's no activity, walang na movement of that person. Citrix will be able to monitor. It will not tell you where did they go, how many files did they open, how many hours they work. It just monitors productivity in the sense of how long is the person on the system and what are they doing. You know, if the person has a laptop or a desktop that has been disabled for USB, independent pasok na sa Netflix, sa Lazada, wala na, clean talagang ng laptop. It's only having the files of the company. It's a dummy laptop. Even the hard disk is no partitioned. You can monitor people, but if the people's laptop has many things and you allow freedom and flexibility, mahirap to monitor productivity. Tama ba? It's difficult to monitor productivity. Okay. I think all of you have a cybersecurity policy. It's a requirement of RA 10173 ba? Ayan. Data privacy. I think JJ will second me on that. The cybersecurity policy is very important more now because of remote work from home. So you have to revisit your cybersecurity policy, particularly your risk assessment template, to find out ano ba ng risk ngayon kasi puro lahat work from home. Work from home is not the problem. It's the connectivity. The work from home connectivity is all very simple, basic connectivity. Wi-Fi na puro Wi-Fi and that's a very big risk. Okay, and that's a very big risk. Okay. Now, for example, how many of you don't have to put up your hands, you just reflect upon yourself. How many of you actually switch off your Wi-Fi at night when you're not in use? When you go on long travel or when you go out, how many of you actually switch off your Wi-Fi? How many of you actually check your Wi-Fi login protocols to find out, is your device the only device logged in? Go think about it. And then you can tell me, Kamesh, oh my God, there are 3 other unrecognized devices logged in. Okay. If those are not your children and your husband, you have a problem. The BYOD policy. The BYOD policy is a policy not technical, but more people driven. Okay, on how to protect their personal devices. Today, quite a lot of us are rich enough to carry tablets. Don't care what brand, but you're rich enough to carry tablets. You have good laptops, high-end laptops, and then of course you have your iPhone 11s, and you have your foldable Samsungs, and etc. 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 What is your policy that you govern your people with if they are employees? If you are a individual, okay lang. If you are an individual, you don't need to write a policy to yourself. As long as you practice what you know in your head, you should be fine. But if you have employees, even one or two, even if you're an entrepreneur and you have 1 or 2 employees and you trust them, trust is good, divine, but having a policy is also security for you. Draft a policy on what they are allowed to use and not allowed to use. Okay, if you're a nice boss, it's okay, I leave it up to you. But if you look at my BYOD sample policy, it's very righteous na talaga. It's very straightforward. Okay, if you're using a personal device but you're interacting on company matters, you have certain protocols to make sure that you must protect the company matters. Okay, yun lang. Okay, yun lang. Simple thing. All right. Of course, if you're a company and you have more than 1 person, please have, you don't need to call it what I'm showing it to you. You don't have to call it CIBR plan. You can call it whatever you want. Please investigate every breach or incident, because in investigating, you will then realize what went wrong, and you will probably now learn on how to fix it. Because ignoring things and thinking they will go away doesn't work anymore. Okay, letting one mistake, one incident of a breach, you let it go, you may then be seeing many other breaches happening without your knowledge. Check every in sorry I accidentally pressed the key. Check every incident, Mona. Check every incident. Okay, check every incident. Do your own analysis. This is for companies. For somebody who spoke about organization, please take a look at this. For individuals, alam mo yan eh, if your phone got hacked, you know your phone got hacked eh. And phones can be hacked, huh? Phones can be hacked, my dear friends, okay? Stop activating your Bluetooth in supermarkets and malls. Always keep your Bluetooth switched off when not in use. Common sense will tell you Bluetooth is easily hackable. You don't believe me? Right after this talk, you go and while you're driving home or you're sitting in your house enjoying your cup of coffee, your 3-in-1 Kopiko, you type in Google, is Bluetooth hackable? And then you will make sure that your Bluetooth is always switched off whenever you're not using it. Supply chain and third party. If you're dealing with third party, and I gave a talk very recently in Byfield, the Bankers Association of Philippines. In fact, I gave them a very nice protocol on how to secure outsource. Third party is outsource. How to ensure outsource service providers protect your data, your company data, because you are continuing to work with third parties, and probably you're now having more third parties because you're using third parties to manage your company's outsourced work, because in-source work has stopped, because your employees have been redundant, company cannot manage anymore the cost, you're now buying cheaper services from third parties. Your risk of data security just goes up higher. Okay, you have to check your third party agreements, you have to check third party contracts. Okay, you have to take a look at the service level agreements, particularly when it comes to IT service provider. Alam mo yan, di ba? All your IT is outsourced. Even my IT, our IT here in the company, it's outsourced. And every week I have to keep an eye on these guys to make sure that they're not suddenly lapsing in their own protocols that some of our data goes missing. Construction company kami, there's a lot of intellectual property in the way we do design, state-of-the-art designs and stuff like that. Okay. Your IT should conduct cybersecurity audits through technology, use systems and technology. I will not give you anything today, but you can always reach out to me and I can share with you a whole lot of technologies. In fact, we are using them also in our very own IT audits for all our 35 projects and our airport in Cebu, our airport in Clark, those airports that we build. We are using IT software, IT security auditing software from right here in San Juan, and we are auditing the IT protocols in the airport in Cebu. Okay. So there are cybersecurity audits that you can conduct. There's even checklists that I can share to you, but those are all manual checklists, It's not software driven, no? Okay. Of course, cyber attacks, you have to take a look at what is your protection coverage. I'm not very sure if your CFO and your CRO or your CI, so your CIO, your Chief Information Officer. I'm not very sure if you guys have already sat down to take a look at your insurance coverage for risk. If cybersecurity is one of your top 10 risks in your risk universe, I'm supposing that you already have insurance coverage. But please take a look at your insurance coverage, because right now you have many people working from home. Your policy has to be modified to include clauses like this in the context that if an employee on a work from home had accidentally or without knowingly hacked and data was lost, what is our coverage, unknown legality. But probably I think JJ, you can jump in here at any time to answer that question if there was a question later that we can talk about. Maybe we can have an open forum on that issue, because this one is still a little bit gray for me. What kind of insurance coverage can we have to protect the company's data when we get into work from home and we allow employees to bring data home and process it on laptops or personal devices? Last one, the entire cyber operations, the monitoring of your day-to-day operations. This is like the motherhood statement. This is not particularly focusing down on certain things. Maka, this is like, I know what I would say, the overarching component of all the 9 things that you need to take a look at. Okay. All right. Yeah. So central collection analysis of all your alerts, audit logs. You see, I spoke about audit logs, Kanina, no? So it is come back already. Your VPN profiles and your firewall rules for employees to receive appropriate role-dependent privileges. I told you, right? Privileges are now going to be transferred to more employees than IT. Kasi magulo yan, IT will become a more leaner, meaner team, right? Look at bullet number 4. Disabling split tunneling for VPN profiles to prevent remote employees from accessing the internet directly from their personal laptops while also accessing corporate information system. Interesting. What does that mean for non-technology people? What does that mean? That means blocking off when you are accessing company information, or when you're accessing certain things over the Wi-Fi on company matters. If the VPN has been set up in such a way that you have access to your company domain login IDs and etc., you can't log in into other systems. Pasok tarejo the VPN is directly linked to your company data only and your company network. Wala na, you can't be doing other things on that VPN profile. Okay. Walang split tunneling. Isang tunnel lang. Diretso lang sa company network only. Okay. Secure access. You have to take a look at the next bullet, no? Secure provisioning, secure access. And then, of course, siyempre naman, enforcing software updates. Patches, automatic patches. Hindi na push yan. Automatically, it goes into your system. Even when your laptop is on, the patches are actually coming in already from central IT. It's not going to be pull anymore. It's going to be push. And enabling multi-factor authentication. Okay. Multi-factor, 2-factor authentication, or it can be a CAPTCHA. It can be a password sent to your mobile phone, and the mobile phone is registered to the system. Iba-iba yan. May dami-dami ng authentication systems right now. Okay. And I think right now, most companies, including the company I work for, and also many other companies I know of who I'm consulted in the past, their IT help desk has increased. The number of people have increased, the number of hours of operation, dami lang, talagang 24/7. There is more FAQs, and there's also more level one user IT self repair privileges given. You can actually fix your own issues, the common issues that are triggered. You actually get your IT help desk to share those things so that you can actually manage your own IT peripheral or your own IT systems, and you don't have to depend on your IT department. Ayun lang, 10 key organizational protocols, okay? 10 key lang, no? Let's take some questions if there are questions. Kasi magulo yan. I'm very sure there must been some people who hopefully did not fall asleep but got confused with everything here. Okay, there's okay, let's take a look at there is what you call open VPN. Anything you can share about it? How is it differ from other proprietary or commercial VPNs? Open VPN is sometimes shared lang. It's not proprietary. It's not dedicated tunnels. Okay, it's like the cheaper version. Discounted lang. There are vulnerabilities in it. Okay, if you want something secured, maybe you might have to pay the big bucks for it. Okay, but open VPN can be used if your files are not of sensitive information. It's publicly available. Okay, sharing is not so critical. There's no very confidential data. Okay lang yung open VPN kasi and you can share it not consist. You don't have to use it consistently. You're not uploading stuff into it, and you're accessing certain things at given times only. Put in a month because it's not like everybody has to buy proprietary and very secured VPN. Mahal kasi look at your business scope, look at the kind of data you're sharing, look at the kind of data that you're getting, and then you decide. Okay lang yun if you use OpenVPN. I know OpenVPN. It's what I call the slightly more affordable version than the more proprietary ones. Okay, so take a look at it. I think that depende lang to each individual on how you look at the type of sensitivity of the information. No? For small, medium businesses, is Windows operating system the best for MDM and RDP or InfoSec in general? Or are there other safer operating systems? Oh, Mac and Linux, of course, very good. Mac and Linux, very good. Pwede. But Windows, I can tell you right now, is fairly good already for RDP and MDM. You can use that for general InfoSec for general. Sabi mo general, diba? So you can use it for general because it's more affordable. And to tell you honestly, Windows right now, Microsoft is very proactive. You can see they have spent quite a bundle on InfoSec right now, and there's a lot of protocols being put into InfoSec right now in Microsoft. And to tell you honestly, in our organization, for the last 19 years, we were very Google-driven company. Everything was on Google for us. Viber, WhatsApp, we did a lot of stuff on all this open source and all that. When COVID hit us last October, the president sat down with me and our IT CTO and CIO, and right now I'm the acting CRO, and he only asked me one question: are we safe to continue like this? And I said, no, we are already too late. Digital transformation is the only way for us to survive. If we are not putting up buildings on site, we have to manage the business off site. And I can tell you, from October last year until today, we have transformed the entire company, and we are a large company. We've got 6 or 7 subsidiaries. We've got airports. We've got a PTEX land port, and we've got other investments, real estate properties. We got carbon mark. We got many companies. We transform all of them into Microsoft. That's from last October till this August. The entire company is on digital transformation. We use MS to collaborate, Microsoft Teams to collaborate. We use OneDrive. We use SharePoint. We buy secured engineering systems. Financial systems are all on SAP. We have literally removed um, a couple of hundred people and put all of their jobs into technology and applications. Contactless payments, from contactless payments to contactless receival of materials to whatever, you name it. Even our clinic is contactless for the first 10 type of FAQs, and we only deal with COVID, with face-to-face interactions with our nurses. All this just from last October. Some people call us crazy because it takes a long time to change platforms, but we did it overnight because all of us just had to change our lifestyles. We had to change the way we work and the way we think and the way we protect our information. So everything is on cloud, and we have layers and layers of security. Everything is authenticated. Nobody can log in. No guest can log in into our systems. Every day our ITs continue to hack and break and crack our codes, and we keep on hardening. That's the investment we had to do to transform, to allow, I think, 80% of our workforce to work from home today. 80% of our workforce works from home today. Everybody who's not part of the concrete putting work or concrete or putting the building up are all work from home. So that kind of transformation happens. But like what I said earlier, no, the president initiated. So sometimes when you hear the tone from the top, management is key, management is key. You know, many people complain sometimes, oh, the management is not driving this. I used to not believe those things, but now I believe them. If management drives it, the president is on top of it, transformation is, we didn't spend a lot of money, to tell you honestly. I can't reveal all of these things, but we did not spend big bucks. We just had to spend for the licenses and the access and the firewalls and all the systems, but we did not spend more money in acquiring anything more than what is necessary. Okay. So believe me, Mac and Linux is good enough. That's like what, the gold standard or something. Windows is sufficient enough for whatever that you're doing, because Sabemo, small, medium business. Okay. In this current time, everyone should be concerned with security. Yes, but for someone who mistrusts his or her internet security, antivirus, VPN, and other security tools, what advice can you give for that person? Oh my God, ano ba to? Obsessive compulsive or paranoia? You don't trust anything? Oh my God. I remember this one client you recommended to me, JJ. You remember? There was a client.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
You referred her to me. It sounds like her.
Right, right. So I guess when you're in a situation where there's complete loss of trust, even with the remediation tools that you're using,
Yeah.
I think that you're in a difficult spot there.
Yeah.
So if you're truly, I guess, for the truly, what's the word? For the truly paranoid, right? Here's what I would suggest. I don't know if you will agree with me, because I'm not an info professional like you.
Because I have cases like this. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
this is not isolated, no, JJ, because I have one
Right.
person in the company right now that you're also having a challenging time, because the person does not want to upload, share anything, or reveal anything. Talagang literally, okay? And they're not from legal. They're just an operations person. And
Correct.
and it was a very simple protocol for us. We just we just asked the person to make a choice. If you don't want to deal with sensitive and confidential information at your position, what is appropriate for you?
Right.
Do you want?
I was going to suggest now.
Yeah.
What if you buy a completely new laptop, never been connected to the internet? You buy a Wi-Fi hotspot, brand new. You get prepaid SIM for wireless internet.
Yep.
Put that in the Wi-Fi hotspot, and then I guess get an installer. So don't connect to the internet, but get an installer for the VPN.
Yes.
And then the first time you boot up the machine, you use the Wi-Fi, right? So essentially, prepaid Wi-Fi, which would make it untraceable to a certain degree. And then you connect via the VPN, And I suppose it's probably very difficult at that point. And then do not connect to any of your past resources. Don't connect to your Gmail. Don't connect, right? Set up your new, right. Maybe not use Gmail. Maybe use Proton Mail or something.
You see, if your laptop is dummy proven, that means it has no connection to anything. Walang Gmail, walang Outlook, wala iba na. It's just like a Google laptop. Remember 15 years ago, Google came up with a Google laptop white in color, and it did not have a hard disk. It only had a protocol that you log in, it immediately goes into Google Cloud. Yun lang, that kind of system will work for you, because anything that you mentioned here, your internet security protocols can be compromised, because if somebody knows how to hack, because they find you among the many thousand and many digital codes, they find you and they can hack you. You're vulnerable. Your antivirus, every month, without you knowing, there are patches being sent to your antivirus. I think some of you know, some of you don't know. Your antivirus is always updated based on spams and malwares every month by even the world's best antivirus providers, Kaspersky, Trend Micro, lahat na meron.
There's actually a question here. Two people have already asked questions regarding Google. So they're asking what your thoughts are about G Suite, Google Drive, using Google for, say, sending a link to a Google file, a Google Doc file, as opposed to sending, say, an attachment. Do you think Google is a safe platform if you're going to go to the cloud?
Google is secure. I wouldn't say very. Google is secure. I will just say Google is secure. They are equally,
right.
Their security is equally as good as Microsoft. Okay. Do you know that Google defragments your data? Your full name and birth date is stored in nearly 7 different systems. Your first name and last name is not together. It's in a different system. Your front month date and your year and your month is in different systems. They decrypt it and it's stored somewhere else. It's expensive. It's expensive what they do, but they do it because of premium services. So if you are a Google Suite service you avail that, you're pretty secure. Now, of course, syempre naman, JJ, it will not apply to a single individual. Mahirap na. That's expensive, no? But if companies apply for Google Suite like what we did, we were secure, but we had a different direction that we did not want to use Google. But
so the way I think about the cloud and the way I think about Google is that so one is that Google's been around for, I don't know, 20 years, right? And I don't think I've heard of an instance, and this is something that I guess hundreds of millions of people, maybe billions of people use Google every day. And yet I don't think I've heard of a situation where Google was hacked.
No, never.
They must have data centers all over the world. I've never heard of an instance where they were hacked. Last week they were down, I think, for
many near attempts lang, but pero wala na actual.
Right. So they're good at security.
Yeah, correct. So hopefully that answers the question. And for the person who doesn't trust anybody, that's going to be a difficult life, huh? but there are many ways you can do it, but right now I don't think I can tell you over this discussion. But if you like to chat with me separately, I think I can give you some pointers lang, because I had a person who was talking to me for about 4 months, and I tried many things on that person until I had to come back to JJ and say this one requires a different level of intervention. JJ is no longer IT. I think it's really somebody is tracking and stalking this person as individually, So I think that I can talk to you about that. There's a nice, interesting question here for law firms that store large amounts of personal information. Is split tunnel VPN sufficient to ensure data protection? No, sir. I think you need to go for full tunnel VPN. Split tunnel VPN, there are vulnerabilities, and if your IT is not really on the mark and on top of their game, checking on these things regularly, if you're not looking at your audit log files, you're not checking anomalies and all of this, mahirap unless you have a system and application to report immediately from the audit log files any kind of anomalies or any kind of illegal or unauthorized logging in at different hours from different domains, siempre puede. But if you don't have those things, I think full tunnel VPN is good. And on top of BYOD policies, I like your thinking process, because I know one of the oldest law firms. I was a consultant for some time, about in 2018. We implemented VDI for mobile device to allow remote wiping of all the lawyers' phones. I say most of the lawyers use personal phones, tablets to save case files, and I was very dead against that, because sometimes the case files, the physical file is in the storage area. A legal counselor gets the file for an upcoming case. There are 365 sheets of data inside there when taken out. When they bring it back, we don't know if there are 365, 366, or 382 pieces of paper now that needs to be considered as confidential. Or what if some of the soft copy files are tampered with by the legal counsel during the case, kasi it's not locked, word file yan puro lahat. They don't like PDF, they don't like the thing to be locked, view only, gusto niya, some people, they have this power and special, you know, privileges, senior legal and all of that stuff. I had a difficult time. So I said, Chigi, let's just spend money. I told the IT director, let's buy a mobile device swiping, remote wiping. And every once I will not give the frequencies. And every time we suspected something, remote wipe the data completely from the mobile device. And it worked. They were pissed off, but it worked. So sometimes I have to sacrifice people's happiness for protocols, no? So it's a chicken and egg, I think, or something like that. What you would say is using any
Yeah.
dash remote access. Yeah, Dipa JJ.
Yeah. So I mean that was a problem as well in our office, and so Dropbox is problematic in that sense, because what happens is if you have your files on Dropbox, then all your lawyers will have a copy of all the files on their devices, and when they leave, you don't know if it really. Of course, there's a protocol that it's supposedly to go wipe, but if they copy it onto their local drive, then the Dropbox folder will disappear, but the local drive will be able to keep those files. So we stopped Dropbox for that purpose, and that
Yes.
we limited the ability of a lawyer to access the files remotely.
Yes.
So this is why I think Google Docs is superior, because
Yes.
what happens is they work on the document in the cloud, so which is
Yes.
convenient because they can work from anywhere. But
Yes.
also the lawyer doesn't have a copy of that file
Never.
because that file is in the cloud.
But the
Right?
downside
So
with Google Docs is it's not
Yeah.
real time. If I'm editing and you're editing, and I finish first, your edit will be the last thing reflected there. It will not update itself. You have to always download and update and re-upload again. So
Yeah, well, we're quite happy with the because the problem with Microsoft Word is only one person can update at a time.
yes,
So we've done situations where 2 or 3 people are working on the same document. That's impossible. I mean, theoretically possible on Microsoft, but it will crash.
it will crash because I've done it. We three guys working on the same file, on the same time at different pages on the tab,
Yeah.
and it was suddenly I felt so slow, and then it started hanging, and then finally it
Right.
crashed.
Exactly.
So downside,
So
downside. And
that's a
there's
downside.
to somebody who asked that question on Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is very safe. You can use it, but when we talk about editing and working on files, live files, uh, that's a problem. Okay.
Kamesh, I'm wondering, are you starting on your second part? Because we're coming up to
Yes.
5:30, and I'm
Yes.
wondering
Yes.
whether
I'm about to
you want to
start.
get to that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And the last question, yes, your processor is i3. No, upgrade to i5 because your i3 is not compatible to the current Microsoft setup and all that. Matagal yan. It will be slow. Believe me, it will be very slow. Any desk for remote access is good. You can use it, sir. Any desk is okay lam for IT support. It's safe. All right, part 2. The technical parts that you can take a look. Very short, very fast, but the technical parts that you share this to your IT people. If you're an organization, you can share this, but if you're an individual, appreciate it to the fact that you can probably do certain things on this. Okay. This is from PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is not my own legacy or my own principles of how things should be done. I always believe if there's something doable from outside, copy and paste and sharing it to others is also good enough. This the three-tiered approach is being used by many of us, and it's a very good write-up from PricewaterhouseCoopers on cybersecurity. There's short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Okay, take a look at the short-term. VPN, private VPN, identity management, endpoint security because of work from home, employee awareness. Interestingly, employee awareness and frequent patching. And frequent patching doesn't need to come from you. It can be from the service provider, the product provider, or the application provider. Tapos medium term, have stricter work from home guidelines. The laptop or the desktop that you're using for work shouldn't be also the laptop or desktop that your children are using to play games. Okay, or anything. Your wife shouldn't be also using it. No co-sharing of company devices or personal devices when it's work related. Okay, insider threat analytics. This is something that you may not be able to manage because insider threat analytics is when the hacker is your own friend. The hacker is an employee in the company trying to get stuff out, trying to copy intellectual property data, because the fear of redundancy, because they heard redundancy has happened in the company. Now they're fearing that they may be the next one on the chopping block. So now is the time to collect as much data information about the company, because that will secure a job somewhere else because they are coming with knowledge. Okay. This is cannibalism, internal cannibalism. Okay. Strengthen security operations. Your SOC, your IT department SOC has to be more alert now. And of course, privilege user access management in data privacy. It talks about privileged user access as very critical because you deal with sensitive and confidential information. And the last one, the long term, is to have a response and management plan. Don't worry about that. Sometimes intuition and common sense also works a lot as crisis response and management. Okay. Short-term actions, you secure your VPN channels. Okay. VPN tunneling, split tunneling, okay lang, pero I still recommend like law firms and all that, let's not play around or not gamble with these things. I think secure VPN is still very important. Improve your identity and access management. Come up with a protocol for every login credentials. Who is the person? What's the domain? What is their MAC? What is their IMEI number? Or what channel they're using? What are the files? What access points? What endpoints are they using? What is the security setup they have at home for their own systems? Do your homework because this is important right now. Endpoint devices, particularly your servers, particularly the CPUs of the people working from home on personal desktops, etc., etc. If the company can spend the budget, pay for the antivirus software for your employees. Okay. Increase patching frequency of critical infra. Particularly, this is your network. This is your own network rooms and your own servers, or even cloud. If your entire systems are on cloud, talk to your cloud service provider to provide increased patching for common issues and concerns. And of course, education, enrich your employees' awareness on IT. I think that's very important. Come up with a simple check sheet on what are the 10 important things that they should always check when they're working online through their home Wi-Fi. Midterm, as I mentioned earlier already, I think I'm just restating everything again. These are the 4 most important things. Now, if you want any information about each and every one of this, just write to me. I will share my personal email. JJ, is that okay? I can share them my personal email, and they can write to me if they have further questions. Yeah.
Sure.
Because I have a lot, you know me, I can talk for days on stuff like this, and I have a lot of, I don't want to bore them, with protocols and policies, but they can write.
Right. I think the number one question that was asked was, and maybe you don't have to answer it now, but something you can think about is, because a lot of the stuff that you're talking about seems to be very relevant for larger companies. Yes. I think we have a lot of people in attendance now. Right, where they want to see, is there something that they can do as as an SME, something that they're in the cloud that they could use that
Yeah.
that can give them the same level, right? Maybe not the same level, but at least a higher level of protection.
Yeah. The interesting thing, JJ, most of these things apply to a single individual or a 10,000 employee organization. It's just the volume and the size and the complexity. Like setting up your Wi-Fi, checking
Right.
your Wi-Fi connection every now and then to find out how many devices are logged in. This is done by IT at an organization level, but it can also be done by a person, particularly like right now work from home. A lot of people are working from home. There was an interesting story I would like to share to you. He has a very good uh, 100 Mbps Wi-Fi secured. He didn't know for about 1 month there was another device logged in at the same hours he was logged in, and only when he checked, find out it was not his son, because his son was not using the laptop at the time, and his wife is not from work from home; she's in the office, and he was trying very hard to trace who that device was. And at the end, I think he found out it was his neighbor.
Hmm.
His neighbor was able to get his Wi-Fi password. I don't know how,
Okay.
but he was able to
Yeah.
get it. And the only thing the neighbor could tell him when he confronted the neighbor was, "I'm sorry. Uh,
Hmm.
ang mali, baksak lang ang wifi ko kasi trabaho ako din. Sorry lang pare." Pasensya
Yeah,
na.
I mean that's right. I don't think people go to the trouble of looking at their
No,
router
nobody
and seeing
does.
who's logged on,
I don't think anybody does, Lang. So
right?
that's what I'm saying. The commonality of what I'm talking here applies to everybody. But I would like those individuals to write to me, because there's nothing hidden agenda here. I don't do service. I don't consult anymore. I just talk and train. So I have a lot of stuff I can share with people. So I'm more than happy to share things with them. Okay. All right. So the last
Okay.
one is your response plan. Now, even if you want a crisis response template, no problem. You can write to me. I have one. You just have to fill up the blanks and remove the logo of the other company. Joke. That's a joke. Okay. All right. Yun lang eh. That's it. That's all I have, guys. I hope I did not take too much time. I hope it was. The important thing here is the message is informative enough for you to take your next move. If it is not, then I failed, and you need to talk to me more. So uh, if you want to reach out to me, I will just ano ba? I will just
How how about I ask you a couple of questions and then let's
sure,
see
man,
if
sure.
it's
Ask me.
helpful for our audience.
Yes.
So I think my first question is, I think people are looking at cloud services and they're not sure, is it safe to use the cloud? Like, something like G Suite is on the cloud, Dropbox is on the cloud. Would you say that a cloud service is secure?
Cloud is
Uh,
secure. Cloud today has 3 tiers: T1, T1, T2, T3. If you are a company, you should avail T3. T3 means there's authentication. Your phone number, your email ID, your phone number, and a secured code appears in your phone, and that's the number you use to log in into your system, and you can then log on into your company cloud. T3 is the most expensive, by the way, but the most secure, and it's not being hacked. It cannot be hacked because it's a 3-point security system.
right, right. So I
T2,
mean,
yeah,
would it be fair? Because the way I think about cloud is, it's like my analogy is like a subdivision,
yeah,
right? If I have a house that's not inside a gated subdivision, I have to pay for my own security. I have to
yes,
build a high wall. I have to
yeah,
get my CCTV and I have to get a guard. But if I stay in a gated subdivision, everyone inside shares
yes,
for a common security. So we
correct,
hire a couple of security guards, we build
correct,
our walls, and we all share that cost. And so
yes.
I
So
think of cloud as
yes,
everybody,
correct,
right, sort of
yes,
contributing, and that the cost is lower, but you
yes.
get a higher level than if you do it on your own.
So imagine when you buy cloud services from highly reputable companies, they are a bit more expensive, but they are more secure. You know why? Because there are more companies in that gated community.
Right, right.
So
And
if you
then my other question is, what are your thoughts on two-factor authentication? So two-factor authentication is, you know, you log in and then you use another app called, say, Google Authenticator, or there's an app called Authy, or maybe there's a one-time PIN. Do you think that you recommend that for our work from home warriors, so to speak?
Yes, the banks are using it in the Philippines. You're using it in Singapore. You're using it in Malaysia. So far, that's safe enough to use a two-factor authentication. A PIN,
Right.
phone number is registered. Now the only problem is that phone needs to be secured. If your password on the phone is being shared to somebody else,
Right.
and your PIN comes in at the right time, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. You see,
Right. Right.
most of the time, JJ, the security technology works. It's the behavior ang problema You
That's
know,
right. That's right. I
problem.
mean, and the other thing that I wanted to ask, I think people have a tendency to settle on one password,
Yes.
and then that's the same password all over. So
Yeah.
if someone is able to guess that one password,
Yes.
then all your accounts are insecure, not secure anymore. And we have a recommendation on what they could use, what people can use to strengthen their password.
You have to. It's just psychological. You have to keep changing your password. Like right now in our company, we change passwords every month, not even 3 months, every month, because we have had near cases of breaches, and so it was led to a password failure because somebody shared the password. So ngayon lang, we are keep changing, and we keep changing the password management protocol. We keep changing the configuration. We keep changing the number of fonts, letters, etc. We keep reinventing. We have to keep reinventing.
Okay. Have you did you try having your guys use password managers? So I
Yes.
think in Kaspersky it comes free, no?
Yes, it comes free. So
Right.
we are using that now on project sites where we have financial information. We're using that, and it seems to be working for us a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't had
So
any
let me
cases for breaches, so far I can cross my fingers.
right. So let me see if I can share my screen now just to show people. So this is just something I googled now. Just
Yeah,
password managers.
yeah,
So one is LastPass, and what this does is that when you have it installed, actually I use LastPass, right? So there it is.
okay,
And what happens is when you go to sign up for the password, you don't have to think of a password. The app, right? LastPass,
yes,
for example, will think of a password for you, and
yes,
for you to access that password, you just have to remember one password, which is the password to LastPass.
yes,
And then you can have really complicated
yes,
passwords that you could never remember. And then
yes,
you can install this on your phone and on your laptop. And it's
yes,
just a way to have different passwords and strong passwords.
yes. But then
Uh,
this will be the biggest challenge for elderly people.
that's true. That's well. So I mean, to the extent that you can,
I would say
it's actually
elderly,
easy to use. Right,
forgetful
right, right.
people, forgetful people.
Well, at least they only have to think of one password.
Yes,
Sorry, one password. So the
one
cost
mother.
is about, as you can see here, is about $40. So that's 2,000 pesos a year. That's
Yep,
not so bad. If you have Kaspersky, I think it comes free. If you
yep,
have some of these commercial antivirus, it
yes,
comes free. So it's a
yes.
good thing to have. I think get a password
We are
password
using it
manager.
for finance SAP people because on-site SAP we log in financial numbers and all of that. So we are using that at the moment
Right, right.
as a trial, as a trial. So wait, I just have two questions I want to answer. I don't want to leave them hanging.
Okay,
Is
go
there
ahead.
such thing as a non-hackable platform? No, sir. There is no such thing as a non-hackable platform. Everything is coded. As long as there's a coding technology and somebody set and coded it, it can be hacked. Sorry, Lang. I don't know of anything that cannot be hacked. It's just that how many layers of security and how high the fence is from one gate to another gate to be able to prevent the person to get so frustrated that he gets eventually caught hacking. What is the
Right.
best common, secure, and less hackable platform that you can recommend that companies can adopt in terms of meetings, file sharings? Please, you can use anything right now. Google Hangouts, MS, those are all good systems. Zoom is good also. Don't mind the one or two hacks. that Globe encountered. That was just somebody trying to deframe and defame them. But most of the file sharing systems that you have, Dropbox is vulnerable. I don't think Dropbox is good, so I don't think you should focus on those things. But yeah, so okay. I don't know where I'm going to leave my email. How about, oh, this is good.
Leave it with me, and then we will send an email to all the registrants.
Yep. Okay.
And right, and then tell them if you have any questions. We'll put that, and then we'll attach your slides
Okay.
to that email as well.
Okay, good. Namaste. Namaste, Dan. I don't speak Hindi, by the way. I don't know any Hindi words. Never learned it. Fourth generation Malaysian. You can talk to me in Malaysian language. But thank you for saying namaste. Namaste also. All right, guys. I got to bail out. I think I've given enough time to you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
I may not have all the answers to all the problems on IT right now, but I hope this was informative enough. JJ, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'll catch all of you again. Stay safe. Maraming salamat. Stay blessed. Bless all of you and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kamesh.
Thank you.
So that's it for our latest edition of Digital Transformation Thursdays. Next week, we're going into a different territory. We will be talking about this new phenomenon that we're seeing, which is influencer marketing. And it's going to be, I think, a very interesting view. When I was looking at the last global depression, the Great Depression of the 30s, and I was saying, who made fortunes during the last Great Depression? And it'll surprise you that those who made the most money during that time were people in media, and back then it was movies. And these influencers that we're seeing, it seems to be, to me, the new media, that and maybe gaming, online gaming. And so I think it's something worth looking into and studying. And there's already a national organization that's being established to represent that industry and to professionalize it as well. But and we hope, and we will have people from each segment of that industry next week. And we hope you can join us for that session. Thank you, and have a good afternoon. See you on Thursday.